With over 100 incantations and over 50 faith scaling weapons, faith is easily the most versatile build you can play in Elden Ring. Sure, there are also a lot of sorceries, but incantations are more diverse in nature. You got healing, buffing, every single type of damage, status build up, debuffs and so on. Today I want to give you my take on why From Software nailed faith in Elden Ring. So, something I really like in especially Souls games is adapting my strategy to optimize my damage potential against certain enemy types. It's really neat to get rewarded for knowing your opponent. I want to maximize my damage output and get the feeling that I did something to achieve those high numbers, by not simply pumping stats, but by adapting. Meaning that I like to use the damage type that my current enemy is weak to. So for example, trees and animals are generally weak to fire, undead enemies are weak to holy damage, water increases lightning damage, and so on. A faith build lets me do just that. When I know a specific area is coming up, I either switch my incantations to match the challenge ahead of me, or let's be honest, most of the time I just have a bunch of different types of incantations in my memory slots because I'm lazy. An incantation I would never ever give up though is Flame Cleanse Me. Like, I could actually not imagine doing a playthrough without having this available at all times. So even in my full intelligence or strength builds, I pump those 12 points into faith. I'd recommend you do the same, because 12 points are really not a lot and oh boy, you really want to have this on you, at the very latest when you get to that area. And Flame Cleanse Me is only one example of faith being extremely convenient. I'd also hate to fight skeletons without these Litany of Proper Death or Order's Blade incantations. Oh, and those work against deathbirds, and that deathbird in the consecrated snowfield is honestly enough reason to use these. Trust me, once you use these incantations, you can never go back. On top of that, there's a lot of fire damage in this game, so Flame Protect Me is also something I definitely pick up. I think you can already tell, it's not just the pure damage type incantations, all the support and buff incantations are also extremely valuable. But now that I mentioned damage, let's talk about faith weapons. We got the Black Knife as a little underrated gem, all of the Faith Greatswords, the Godslayer Greatsword, the Magma Worm Scale Sword, Mariketh's Hammer, the Envoy's Horns, Malekith's Black Blade. The unique Ashes of War on some of these are so fun to use and are on top of that actually good? What? Those hilarious bubble strategies? Faith. The broken ass Blasphemous Blade? Faith. The used to be broken but is still really good Sword of Night and Flame? Well, partly faith. The Black Blade, easily top 3 coolest weapons in the game? Faith. I think you see where I'm coming from when I say that some of the coolest weapons in the game require some points in faith. Something that is not exclusive to faith, but regardless worth mentioning, are the looks. While sorceries probably had the biggest step up from other Souls games, because in previous Souls games they really all looked like shit and were just a dart or a bigger dart, incantations and those aforementioned Ashes of War also look so good. The coolest thing in my opinion are the dragon ones, just look at these. Also, Dragon Cult has some nice lightning animations and the huge ass fireballs are definitely nice to look at. Speaking of huge ass fireballs, some of these incantations don't even have to be like S tier utility or damage, because some just sound and feel cool as fuck. Giant's Flame Take Thee, Flame Fall Upon Them, Fire's Deadly Sin, goddamn! That shit is hard. It's impossible to not feel like an ancient fire god when you throw some of these at groups of weaker enemies or when you see a big health bar just melt away. To mention some that feel satisfying to use, Unendurable Frenzy, the Draconic abilities, and Black Blade. This is stuff straight out of anime. Starting classes for faith builds are Confessor and Prophet, although I much prefer the Confessor because of that broadsword shield combo. Also, Assassin's Approach is a really good incantation because it allows you to sprint jump in complete silence, and given how jump attacks are already strong, your damage output is even better because you get bonus damage for being unseen too. Also, its armor set actually looks good and doesn't have that ugly ass piece of wood around the neck, so there's that. Alright, that's all I have to say about faith. Could you tell that this is my favorite build in Elden Ring? Maybe. Tell me what builds you've been enjoying in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.